Alright then everyone, hello and welcome to the 5th round of the NEF1 Championship here in Season 7, and this might well be the last time that we go racing around Le Castellier in France for the French Grand Prix. Round 5 then is underway for the NEF1 Championship, and we have a new championship situation. We'll have a look at that in a little bit, but Djokovic is on an absolute storm, taking basically every single thing available to him out of the last 2 weekends. We'll dive into the statistics in a little bit, but he is chasing the man in P1 in the championship at the moment is Nasi31, having a very dominant first 2 races, and after that, a little bit of a struggle in Silverstone, obviously, with the technical issues that he had. Then even more, not going to say a struggle, little strategy mishap perhaps, maybe in Portugal, that just allowed Djokovic to take the edge and take the win there in the Grand Prix. The sprint was already his in dominant fashion, but during the Grand Prix, maybe a bit of a strategy blunder did allow Djokovic to get past then at the ending of the race. So then, little drips out on track in that Alfa Romeo for the last time in France, potentially, as previously said. We don't know if the track is going to reappear in the next iteration of the game. If it does, I'm sure we'll see it back on the calendar, as this is a track that usually is quite good for league racing for some reason. It does provide absolute snooze festes of real life races, but for league racing, it works out quite well. Little Drips then first out on track. He is followed by Samo Bamo, JV8, No Larks, and Squidge coming out on track relatively early. Notable absentees this weekend: Matty MC16 and Danny DC97, both quite high up in the championship order, not here today. Wigan and Djokovic will have to make do all on their own, and I'm sure they'll handle quite well. Djokovic, though, for a championship gunning Ferrari, might struggle a little bit because these two guys are still very much in sync. Spenclose and Squidge 2017 on an absolute hunt this season. Still waiting for that elusive first victory of the year, but I'm sure it will come. One of these guys, I can't quite remember which, I think it was Spenclose, took the pole position last time out here when we went racing in France. We'll see if he can replicate that performance this weekend. He is looking mighty fast here. I raced them a couple of days ago now, and I had absolutely no chance whatsoever, and that's coming from someone who's actually won races in NEF1 and around this track in NEF1. That was a long time ago, though. Lil Drips then is first to start his flying lap. No Larks is right behind him, coming through turn 1 as we speak. But this is a really tricky track to get right. Relatively similar to Silverstone, actually, in terms of setup. A lot of long straights, no undulation changes whatsoever. Quite a lot of fast and sweeping corners, and this rather slow chicane wheel. There's a bit clunky to get right. Third gear through the first part and second gear through the last part. And then power onto the back straight flat until we go into the sweeping right-hander that starts off sector 3. But it's all flat through here, and it's not looking like we're going to have any rain on the horizon as things stand. Q1, Q2 and Q3 as is the norm in any F1 qualifying here. No more sprints for a little while before we go to Monza in 2 weeks' time. But we've got a special one coming for you next week. No sprint qualifying next week for sure. So we'll be going to the crown jewel of F1. We're going to Monaco. Lil Drips then through the last corner, and this looked a relatively tight lap so far as the driver's put in quite a bit of practice for this weekend. He's not had a brilliant start to the season, looking to bounce back strong. 31.294 is the first time of the session. No Larks is going to be first across the line to challenge that. No Larks has had a flying start to the season as well. So let's see if he can actually have a really good performance here in France as well to just keep that momentum going all the way through. His teammate, who we're expecting to have a strong start, has not. Darren struggled with technical difficulties at the beginning of the season, just now getting going. He'll be hoping for some points here today. No Larks then fails to beat out Lil Drips. He is in P2. 131.521 is the time set from No Larks. And then we have JV8 on 133 flat. Djokovic at the moment out on track as well. He's just starting his flying lap, so it's going to take a little bit of time until he comes around. Same for Samo Bamo, who's close to coming across the line. It's a bit of a tricky one to spot at the moment. Both the Williams are actually running in relatively close proximity and on a set of medium tyres. Keep in mind Q1, not too many people are going to be eliminated. Only P16 is going to go out of the session. Spenclose goes second fastest, 131.4. With Squidge 141.283. So that is an awful lap from Squidge. Something must have gone wrong on that attempt. As Felway Jamar on the lap as well. Wigan goes fastest out of anyone with a 130.984. Levi, Watts and Padarang are coming up to the final sector of racetrack. Yes, they are. Padarang also finally getting his first points of the season last week out in Portugal, aiming to keep the momentum going. So here we go. Rear wing is open, going up to the line. Is it going to be fastest? No, it's going to be second fastest, only by about a tenth or two. So that is good pace, that from Padarang. Promising stuff. Watts comes across line and on the set of intermediate tires. Lap will count for nothing, 136.973. Keep in mind though, not going to be able to qualify on that intermediate tire because one person is going to be eliminated at the end of this session. You don't want to be in P16 or you're out heading into Q2. As Velway Jamar then heading into the third sector just now. Djokovic has absolutely stormed past ABT for the lead of the session. Then 130.171 is a lap to absolutely pay attention to. Pay more attention to Djokovic heading into Q2 and Q3. I can't imagine we'll see him again for this session. So then here we go, Jamar, 32 flat is the time set by the resident Canadian, OJ Kush. Back on track, see what he's going to be able to do in the Alfa Romeo, sitting on 1 point at the moment, and there goes a polystyrene board. Absolutely splendid. Was that hybrid perhaps that murdered that board? I believe it was. So then, OJ Kush, still looking for a really strong result to start the season off. He's shown glimpses of really good pace here. Got to convert that into a good result soon though. And then you can't ignore the man sitting at the top of the table at the moment. It is Nasi31, running a bit of a different game tag this week. He's having some technical difficulties, I do believe. But still the same Latvian Lightning that we've all come to know and love. Unless you're Matty MC, probably quite sick of seeing that McLaren just in front of you in P1 whilst you're sitting in P2. Sorry Matty, that'll be the last one. P16 at the moment then is Nasi31, won't be staying there for long. It's on a set of medium tires at the moment. I'm very curious as to what Djokovic set that lap time on. A 130.171 seems quite handy for a set of medium tires. So we'll see what kind of tire he set that lap on. I would believe it's a set of softs. I'll have a look at that in a little bit. Other than that, quite a lot of people running about a 130.1. Wigan's quite close to it, and then little rips all the way down P8 within touching distance. Nolak Spenclose very close to each other in terms of lap time as well. So we'll be keeping an eye on. So Nasi's just going to be leading Hybrid across the line in a little bit. Hybrid's not going to be able to get a lap time in on this occasion though, as he has gone over the white lines and that is his lap time gone. Now, I'm sure it won't be the last time we see this in this qualifying session. I'm sure we're going to see a couple of time penalties in the Grand Prix as well. Nasi31 then on a set of medium tyres, and now I am believing that Djokovic did set that time on the mediums. 130.324 for Nasi, who is now going to start feeling that pressure because Djokovic looked to have an awful start to the season, an absolutely awful start. Had some sort of issue in Bahrain which caused him to disconnect and retire from the race. We don't know what that was, but did not go well. Then, moving on to Qatar, didn't have a good weekend there either. He grabbed 14 points in total, I believe, over the first two races. After that, it has been domination to an extent which I don't know if we've seen in any F1 before. We had Matty win 7 in a row in Season 2, but this is absolutely brilliant statistics. Djokovic has scored 67 out of a total of 68 possible points in the last two races that we've done around Silverstone and Portimao. And those were sprint races, taking both sprint race wins and both Grand Prix wins, plus 1 fastest lap and 1 qualifying on the front row. That is stats that is well and truly worthy of a 2-time NEF1 champion. The thing is anyone going to be able to match that pace? Because my goodness, has Djokovic put on a display for us. We'll have to wait and see, but that is scary stuff at the moment from the reigning champion. If he can keep that up, he'll be ahead of Nasi within a couple of weeks. This, if Djokovic keeps going, might be a short season of joy for Nasi, that he started out so well, but he needs to find an answer to that Ferrari, needs to find it quickly. Hybrid 472K then in P16 at the moment, looking to put iWatts down in that position. iWatts has realized he's got to go on a proper set of tires. He's elected to go on a set of softs. So if iWatts manages to improve past past P14, then it's OJ Kush, the driver, at risk, because I do believe Hybrid is going to improve up into at least the very midfield. Hybrid, that's a driver who's had a hell of a start to the season so far. I'll have a look at that in a little bit as well with the full championship tallies. What I'm not seeing a lot of at the moment are both the Williams boys. Squidge up in P7, Spenclose in P11. Maybe just looking to find their feet a little bit still. Really impressive though, both Djokovic and Nasi on those low 130s on medium tires probably. We know Nasi's on the mediums, I believe Djokovic was as well. If he isn't, then Djokovic will have a problem, because the pace from Nasi, if he's that close to Djokovic and on a different tire set, that's going to be substantial. Hybrid has come across the line now. Sorry about that. He set a 132.068 to go P12. That's pushed iWatts down into the elimination zone. He's currently on a flying lap, but he's not flying whatsoever at the moment. He had a spinning hat of JV8 in front of him. With 5:48 to go. It's starting to get clutch time in this session. Not quite yet, but just can't wait too long. We're getting reports now from AB that Djokovic is indeed on the soft tire now. That is interesting stuff. That is interesting stuff. Now, if Nasi can get that close to Djokovic and on a different set of tire, could be a little bit of trouble in paradise for the Ferrari team. As mentioned then as well, Djokovic at the moment running single-handed for Ferrari, as well as Danny DC cannot race today, neither can Matty MC, leaving Wigan a bit exposed, whilst McLaren, they have to seize this opportunity really to take points away from the championship, from their championship rivals. Both Nasi and ABT looking to have a strong race so far, but ABT comfortably ahead of Wigan 71 there on pace at least. Padarang also going along quite well in P5. Four minutes 30 to go. So when people coming into the pit lane, iWatts is not coming into the pit lane. He has to go again, but he invalidates yet again, just pushing for time too much. And the thing is, iWatts is a driver capable of probably quite easily beating that 132.9. The thing is, does he now have enough fuel to make another run? He'll have to, perhaps. He's got to go quickly this lap anyways. Get himself into the pit lane and out again. It's going to be tight for iWatts, who is looking at early elimination here so far. Going out on Intus was the wrong call. Spenclo 64 as well, up in P9 right now, up from P11, which he was previously a P14, I think it was P11. And now challenging his teammate on pace at least. Then again, it's very close in that P5 to P10 battle, separated by less than a tenth of a second. So close stuff here in NEF1. It usually is whenever we go into qualifying. Remember, this is only Q1. The real action is going to commence in Q2. As Patarang does make a good point there in chat, we'll probably see people's true pace first in Q2, and everyone has to go out and set a soft tires. And that is a very good point. People might be just sandbagging a little bit through this Q1 session, not really going for it, because they just want to make it through safely. And most people, if we're talking about an ABT, an Olax, a Nasi, or a Djokovic, they know they're going to get through this Q1 session relatively easy. Same for both the Williams, same for both the Williams and Darren Style, Patarang. They're not going to be overly fussed about getting out of Q1. It is more these guys we're looking at. JV8, maybe little drips. OJ Kush at the moment. Well, in this situation, Iowa, who, in my opinion, just got the strategy for this session wrong. But they're going to be a little bit more concerned about making it out of Q1, especially Q2. Because everyone from P15 down to P10 is going out in that session, and that is going to make it a bit more tricky. But that's coming up in a couple of moments' time, because we've got a minute and a half remaining in this session. Iwat's now on a lap to save his French Grand Prix. This is a track we can overtake as well. Not disastrous going out early in qualifying, but it wouldn't be ideal at all. OJ Kush out hunting for time as well. He needs to find a way to get JV8 or Hybrid down into that peculiar position. Hybrid is out protecting himself as well. So is Little Drips, so is Samo, so is Squidge. Everyone at the moment realizing it's clutch time. Iwas then, what is he going to be able to do? It is going to be an improvement by how much? He's ran out of fuel, and that could be a lap that puts Iwas out of the session. Runs out of fuel, but still 132.213. OJ Kush improves past, and now JV8 needs to find a couple of tenths of a second and push Iwatts out of this session. Misjudgment for Iwatts that he should have gone into the pit lane and tried to get another set of tires and a little bit more fuel in that car. Maybe would have had time for it. Could have been a close call, to be fair. Sam Obama's been disqualified from the session for parking in a dangerous location. Don't know what that's all about at all, because that is going to protect JV8 and Iwatts. Samo then becomes the one driver out of nowhere, really, to be eliminated in this session. That takes the edge entirely of it. JV8 can now basically just coast into the pit lane. That is a bit of a weird ending, and in France as well, it's weird being disqualified for parking in a dangerous location in France, where you realistically have, I'd say, acres and acres of runoff. You have quite a bit of it, and tarmac as well. You can't really get stuck anywhere. I know he's typing something in the chat as things stand, so we'll see if we receive an update from the Mercedes driver. The Mercedes driver is currently alone in his team, as well as the other seat is vacant for the time being. We're working on finding a replacement. So then, Djokovic ends the session in top, with Nasi closely following in P2. Different tire compounds between the two championship rivals. Nolarks in P3, that is a very good lap for Nolarks actually. Followed by ABT in P4 and Hybrid in P5. Jamar making it all the way up to P6. Followed by Wiggins, Spenclose, Patarang and Darren Stasio top 10. Squidge, Little Drips, OJ Kush, JV8 in P11 through 14. Iwatts would have been out of this session if it wasn't for the efforts of Samo Obama, who somehow got himself disqualified. So Iwatts catching very much a lucky break there, not getting the strategy right whatsoever, but now it's time to start focusing. Q2 is getting underway in a couple of minutes time. P11 through 15 are going to go out of that session. We'll be right back to you in a moment's time with full action from qualifying 2 here in France. Here we go then, that is Q1 all over and done. And as we can see, Djokovic there is on that faster soft tire. Nassif then with incredible pace on the medium out, qualifying the second medium runner Spenclose by 7/10 of a second. Masterclass session that from NEF1. We'll see what his pace is like on the soft in a couple of moments time. Won't have to wait long at all because Q2 in France is getting underway. And as for Sam Obama, we're going to report that his wheel disconnected as well, which is incredibly unfortunate, but we'll see him back for the Grand Prix. Could have been worse, could have been next week, because that would have been absolutely disastrous should have happened then. So here we go then, Q2 is now underway, 14.5 minutes remaining, people are just now starting to come out of the pit lane. See if we can get everything up that we need to. The tire doesn't need to go up because everyone's going to be running on soft tires. Here we go then. People now coming out of the pit lane. We got a couple of blue cars up in the mix quickly. The Williams are usually quite quick out. And it's a Williams 1-2 followed by, I believe that is Little Drips. Indeed it is. And following him we got the Red Bull of No Larks. JV8 out on track as well. Everyone heading out on track relatively early here in this session. It is looking a bit overcast. I don't think we're expecting any rain right now, but we'll see if the situation changes. Hello to everyone watching as well. Hopefully you're enjoying the stream. Please let us know if you do. If you have the opportunity as well, leave a follow. It would massively help us out. We're on our way to 200 follows. If you can help towards that goal, it would be very much appreciated. So here we go with a B team P9 ending Q1 in relatively strong fashion a couple of moments ago. And ABT is one of those drivers who does really need to get his season underway now. Has not had a bad start to the season, but we know what he's capable of when he's on a good day. Just that bit more pace to extract from that of a McLaren car. Same for Little Drips as well. Needs to really get his season underway. Talked to him just briefly before the race and says the season restarts now. I also talked to these two, both Squidge and Spenclose, and the Williams boys are heading into the rest of the season with confidence at the moment. Feeling really good about the start of the season that they've had. Really happy to be teammates as well. Kokos Björn is in chat, cheering on Darren Style. Absolutely brilliant. We absolutely love having you in, mate. We absolutely love to see it. Squidge 2017 then is running through the first sector. He's closely followed by his teammate and the charging Red Bull of No Larks. Then got a couple of other guys coming up behind. Everyone at the moment basically out on track except for Nassi, 31 and Hybrid. So, stuff going on then at the moment. Q2 well and truly underway. 11.5 minutes left to go in this session. Those lap times are going to start coming in incredibly quickly. It's all going to happen at once. Kit W41, thank you for the follow. Just notice it now. Thank you very, very much. Much obliged. But then, Squidge is going to be first across the line, coming into Sector 3 right now. There's a Ferrari coming across the line to start a flying lap now. Out of process of elimination, that's Djokovic. So that'll be a lap to keep track of as well. Nassi's now out on an out lap for the first time on the soft tires, I'm sure, because he surely can't make those mediums work for a second run. Here we go then, Squidge 2017. What's he going to be able to do on a set of soft tires? He goes P1 130 flat. That's a good lap. No Larks. 3/10 slower. Spenclose, a full second slower than his teammate. That's not a good lap from Spenclose 64 there. There he'll be unhappy. Little Drips, 131.866. There we go. A BT, a 130 flat. Just 200ths of a second quicker than Squidge. Jamar goes up into P4. JV8 at the moment going... I don't know if he's going slowly. Yes, he is. Through Sector 3. Then we got this next pack. We got Darren Stahl, we got Padrang, I believe, and we have Djokovic. They're heading towards Sector 3 right now, so we'll see what they're going to be able to come up with. Djokovic we're expecting to see right up there with Squidge and ABT. So the fastest times of the qualifying session being set right now then. So Djokovic, round the final corner. What is he going to be able to do in that Ferrari? Needs to go P3 probably to get his confidence really boosted. And I believe he's going to do so. He goes fastest then by a margin, 29.725. Now, Nassi's just going to cross the line relatively soon to start his flying lap. Darren Stahl has gone up into P8, 131.341. Quite hefty gaps at the moment between the top 10. Here we go then with the reigning or the defending championship leader. Djokovic is on his tail, but Nassi's an absolute master in qualifying. Seen him grab multiple pole positions over the course of the season. And now, what's he going to be able to do from P13 at the moment? His teammates up in P2 offering solid backup right now. Djokovic though is in a field or in a league of his own. Here we go then, nice and tidy through Chicane, 49.942 through the second sector. Feels like there's a little bit of time in this lap, to be honest, at the moment. Not really pushing the track limits too hard. But you can do, or you really need to around this place to find that impeccable lap time. But then once again, he's going to feel relatively content just getting through this session, which he knows he will. That's how good Nassi is. That's not a worry at all. Same for Djokovic, same for ABT and Squidge probably. Here we go then, round the final corner. This has been a stellar lap, to be fair, from Nassi. Is he going to be able to take it into P1, however? It's going to come across line. Nah, he just misses out, and by less than a tenth of a second. Djokovic and Nassi incredibly evenly matched here in the opening stages of the season. We saw it in Portimao. We're seeing it yet again here, a couple of 100 miles to the, to the south, or to the west, sorry. To the east, sorry. It's not going well at the moment. It's really not going well. Nassi and Djokovic evenly matched. Those two are going to be a fight to watch this season, because I'm sure this is going to be one of those championship fights that goes on for quite a while. English isn't quite working out at the moment. I don't know if you noticed. OJ Kushtan is running through Sector 1, just heading into Sector 2. JVH just started flying lap as well. They're the only ones not having set a time. Hybrid's not set a competitive time. That 1:37 isn't going to get him anywhere. As for iWatts at the moment, seems to really actually be struggling with pace. Really struggling at the moment, iWatts. So we can see if he can pull it together here in this second run. He's on an outlap as we speak, so I'm sure he knows, he's fully aware that lap isn't going to be good enough to get him through into Q3. It's already not good enough to get him into Q3, so he's going to have to go again. There's nothing else to it. As Padarang has gone across the line to go P9, just out of his teammate Hybrid. So here we go. OJ Kush can pull a lap together every now and again. I don't believe this is one of those occasions. No, P13 behind his teammate by a couple of tenths of a second, two to be precise. But ahead of iWatts, crucially. It's for JV8. Goes up to P10, and that's a lap and a half from JV8 there. 1:31.083. That lap is good enough to, at the moment, get him into Q3. Knocking on the door on Padarang and Wigan and Jamer, to be fair, as well. Then there's a big gap up to No Lark, Spenclose and Squidge. But JV8 there, he's looking good. He's cooking up something in that Haas. That is the kind of pace we like to see from Jay. Five minutes to go in this session. In terms of timing for Iwatts, this hasn't been the best, but he needs to give himself an opportunity to make a couple of runs if need be. If he messes up this run, he can go back into the pit lane, sacrifice another set of tires and try to go again. Getting out of this session now is the top priority for Iwatts, but he needs to improve by a second to get up into P10. He's found half a second in the first sector alone. So Iwatts at the moment going strong here. We're heading into the Sector 2 split relatively soon. So the second sector is basically just a straight line. Not too many opportunities to really lose time, but there are a couple. So Iwatts, cross Sector 2 split. 7/10 up on his time. Now, through this third sector, he'll need to find a little bit more if he wants to push JV8 down into the elimination zone. With Hybrid, Style, Little Drips and OJ Kush at the moment are the other guys in there. Oh, and that is a bit of a moment coming out of that sweeping right-hander. No Larks has retired from the session after an incident in Sector 1. Now, that is going to shape things up a little bit in this session. We won't see him in Q3 nonetheless, but he'll probably go through with that lap time, meaning we'll have a top 9 shootout in qualifying 3, and that is unfortunate for No Larks, unfortunate for us in terms of entertainment value as well. Iwatts is going to come across the line. What's he going to be able to do? Only P13. 3.5 minutes to go. Can Iwatts salvage this session? The time to beat to get out of it now, 1:31.083. Oh, and this is going to be a tough one indeed. Darren Stahl at the moment going along in P12 through Sector 3 in the Red Bull. Has got to be able to cook something up. His teammate at the moment out of the running here. ABT is retired in the pit lane, feeling content he'll go through, and he absolutely will with that time. There's no chance everyone's going to improve past the 1:30.014. So here we go, JV8, what he's done there is actually given himself a really good opportunity to make it through into Q3 now if No Larks fails to qualify. He occupies that P10 slot now. Does No Larks. So I'm not actually quite a fan of how that system works. He's now occupying a Q3 slot based on his previous time. I think if you crash out, realistically you should be sent to the back or actually have a chance to compete in Q3. So it is a bit of a flawed system. Darren, has made it up into P6. That is a brilliant lap from Darren Stahl. I'm so sorry, I was absolutely blabbing on about all other things. But look at this. The gap between P5 and P6 is almost a full second. That is absolutely insane. Djokovic and Nasi both out on track at the moment. That is not the battle we're going to be focusing on. JV8, Hybrid, Little Drips, OJ Co. Not a good start to the lap from Hybrid. That coming around the final bend. But Iwatts then in the pits, 1:35 to go. That is his session over and done with. Not going to be able to get around once more. Iwatts then is out of qualifying, we can now establish. The question is, how far will the drop be? We'll have to wait and see. At the moment, Hybrid ahead of him. Iwatts has retired from session in the pit lane, then realizing the situation is hopeless. He now is relying on both the Alfa Romeos to not have a strong end to qualifying 2. They do have a little bit of a gap up to iWatts. Little Drips needs to improve by half a second to get past iWatts, needs to improve by almost a full second to get into Q3. And he is improving, but not by enough through Sector 1. As for Hybrid, he definitely is improving, and by more than enough. This, however, could place his teammate at risk. Half a minute to go. I think everyone is on a flying lap that are going to get one in. So, it's not going to be complicated here. We'll just wait for those lap times to start falling in. You're going to see people retiring. Those are the people in the pits that feel safe doing so. Both the Williams, ABT, and iWatts realizing he can't do anything. Hybrid up in the P8, 1:30.248, and that should see him nice and safely through. It's a good lap time, but is it going to be good enough? It's half a second slower than Djokovic. The margins are starting to come down. No locks now. Maybe in a bit of danger of actually being pushed below the top 10. Padarang, what's he going to be able to do? Rapid on his day, but is it going to be rapid enough to push Darren out of Q3? Little Drips has gone into a 1:30.903. That's good enough for P9 for the time being. Darren's session is over. He is out of this session. Padarang, is it going to be close enough? It's going to be close to the line. He's not going to make it. P12 is all she wrote for iWatts. JV8 is not going to be able to hook a lap up on this occasion. And that is qualifying over and done with. We'll have a top 9 shootout for pole position. Little Drips make it into Q3 for the first time this season. Hybrid, Wiggins, Spenklos, Jamar, Squidge, ABT, Nasi 31, and Djokovic all make it through. So then, no Larks we won't be seeing again in this qualifying session. It'll start P10 on the grid after terminal damage. Darren Stahl, Padarang, JV8, iWatts, and OJ Kush all go out due to lack of pace. So then here we go, we're nearing clutch time and Q3. It's going to be a minute or two until we get that session underway. Everyone's still coming into the pit lane and ending their laps. But there we go, close between Djokovic and Nasi, less than a tenth of a second. Then very close between the top 8, half a second separating them. Then quite a big drop down into P9, which is Little Drips. No Larks, P10 after terminal damage, which is why that delta looks a little bit odd. Had he not been there, he would have been starting in... It would have been P9 for No Larks anyways. So Little Drips then guaranteed a top 9 start and a start inside the points. Darren Stahl just missing out on Q3 by a couple of tenths of a second, or a couple of hundredths of a second even. So No Larks isn't going to be overly happy with that. Didn't do his teammate any favors, sadly, by crashing out. So then guys, it's clutch time. It is Q3 and we're underway here in La Castellier. Top 9 shootout for pole position. You know what's at stake before this 27 lap Grand Prix, sorry. This is a tricky one, this. But what a qualifying 2 we had. And this is shaping up to be a hell of a session. The top 8 separated by 5 tenths of a second. Then a little bit of a drop down into P9. But if we can have those margins once again in Q3, things are going to shape up to be absolutely brilliant. Both the Williams out immediately, so is Little Drips. They're looking to maximize this session to the fullest. The Williams, they look strong, but they don't have an answer at the moment for neither Djokovic or Nasi. Does anyone, realistically? I don't know. So, Lil Drips at the moment trying to do some traffic control here, just wanting to get ahead on track as well. 11 uninterrupted run, which also means he'll have the privilege of getting his lap shown, which can genuinely add on a little bit of pressure. Back when I was league racing, I usually had the race in the background to the sound, wanted to hear what was going on, trying to get a little bit of insight. You know if someone's currently watching you, and that can genuinely build up not a massive amount of pressure, but just that little bit. So, Lil Drips, no pressure. The millions of people watching around the world are absolutely gunning for you. Here we go, and Wigan as well out on track. I believe he might be the last one to have come out. No, that'd be Djokovic, sorry. Djokovic or the Aston Martin of Hybrid. Yeah, it'd be the Aston Martin. But here we go, Van Lil Drips has crossed line to start his first flying lap of Q3 in the season. Here we go, and on to the back straight in that car. Looks quite handy in a straight line. Gonna be braking at the 100-meter board, thereabout. Down into what would be third gear. Turns into second gear for this next spot. Actually stays in third gear, just trying to get a little bit of traction out of the corner. Doesn't quite get the drive that you want to get though. But it does help out with traction a massive amount, staying in third gear through that place. And now then, flat through this next right-hander, and then moving down the gears, probably down to P4, maybe even P3 for the apex of this one. Not quite. And onto the tight and twist bit that is the ending of sector 3 and the lap. This is where you make or break your lap. The penultimate and almost final corner. If you can get these spot on, there are tenths to be gained. Here we go then, DRS wide open on the back of that Kick Sauber. And here we go. It is P1 for Lil Drips, a 131.033, which is quite rapidly going to be eaten up. Spenclose moves into the 129s, 0.982. Next across the line is going to be his teammate, I believe, Squidge, who wasn't able to get a clean lap in, got invalidated. Next across the line then, not going to be one of the McLarens because they're both going into the pit lane by the look of things. Yes, it is. It's going to be Wigan71 who goes across the line for a 130.914. And it's not looking like the cleanest sessions this so far. Both McLaren coming straight into the pits at the end of their first run. Djokovic though, is he going to follow suit or is he going to set a lap here? He's going to set his first lap of the session. Which is going to go right at the very front at 29.349. And Djokovic he's just Djokovic at the moment. Everything's been working for him. Technically 4 wins in a row as well. 2 Grand Prix, 2 sprints in a row. It's a mighty record at the moment for Djokovic. And if we can extend that even further, he's got a good chance of grabbing the championship lead here if Nasi has a bit of an off race. We'll have a look at that championship table in between the Grand Prix and the qualifying. Here we go then, Squidge not having a good fast lap. Is he going to have a better second one? Going to come across the line. Fair enough, and on a one set of tires he eclipses his teammate. P2, 29.729. Still, not really anywhere near the territory of Djokovic. as first of all, YJM are coming around the final couple of corners. And P4 is all she wrote for that Alpine. Still a very good lap, 130.110. And both the McLarens heading straight back out on outlast, meaning we're probably not going to get a resting period in this session. Things are going to go on all the way through, which is... well, I'm sure for you viewers it's more entertaining. For me as a commentator, just getting the opportunity to relax your voice a little can actually be quite comforting. So then, P8 and P9 at the moment is not the kind of session the McLaren were hoping for going into Q3. But I'm sure they won't be staying there for too long. As said, Nasi looked epic in Q1. Not as epic in Q2. Still looked incredibly quick, ending a couple of tenths of a second, or a couple of hundredths of a second behind Djokovic. Now, he has a 129.349 to beat. See, Beatty has gone a lap as well. I'm thinking with Nasi for what might be a potential go at pole position. Beatty's run very wide there. That's probably a lap over and done with. I'll leave you to it for this lap with Nasi 31 in his bid for pole position here in France. As that lap was short-lived, unfortunately, because track limits were breached, and now Nasi is going to be feeling pressure. He needs to get a lap in here now. And the question is that pole position escape from Nasi 31? Oh, a tricky situation at the moment for the McLaren. As for his teammate at the moment, going along in P9, he's going to be at least setting a lap, which is better than Nasi's effort so far. And now is the question, is the pressure starting to get to the Latvian? Abiti coming in with 3.5 to go. And this puts Nasi in an... doesn't really put him in an awkward situation. Comes into the pit lane. Hopefully ABT will be all cleared by the time they get to Nasi. Almost. But here we go then. People are starting to come out. Hybrid and Wigan 71 coming out of the pit lane. And whilst this is going on, must be said the absolute favourite of pole position right now would be Djokovic. That is absolutely immense pace from the Swede. If you've got any other predictions, feel free to post them in chat down below. I'd love to have a different view or a different viewpoint of it. So whatever your prediction is, post it in the chat below and I'll go through them. So here we go then, clutch time. 2.5 minutes to go in this session. Everyone, Paul Little Drips and the McLarens are out on track. The McLarens are going to come out relatively rapidly. They have to. No times on the boards for the McLaren team. It's been a disastrous Q3 session for them so far. So Djokovic at the moment then, the favourite of pole position, 4 attempts ahead of P2 man Squidge 2017 and Spenclose in P3. JMR in P4, a little bit behind, not too bad. Hybrid then, that is a big gap up to P4, but not insurmountable. Wigan 71, P6, Little Drips, the last 2 eps at a time in P7. It is the final minute and a half of qualifying action here in France for the season before we head off to the most crucial qualifying session of the season in Monaco. Hybrid 472K out on track, so is Wigan 71 for the most crucial laps of their hour before we start the Grand Prix. This is set the starting order for the top 9. Remember, not the top 10. No locks crashed out in Q2. One minute to go. Wiggins' target then, realistically, beat Hybrid, get closer to Jamar, stay ahead of Drips, and hope for a beaty maybe to not have a decent session. Nasi surely has just got to play this safe and end up on the front row. Pole position may be out of reach unless he can absolutely clutch it. Djokovic is on a lap. We'll stay with that in just a little bit because Wiggin is going to come across the line relatively shortly. What is he going to be able to do? He's going to come across the line for what is going to be a 1:30.1. Goes ahead of Hybrid relatively comfortably. What's Hybrid going to be able to do? Is he going to be able to match it? Yes, he does. He goes into P3, 129.851. And where did that pace come from for Hybrid 472K? The man is on an absolute charge at the moment this season. Now, a lap which might be for the defense of pole position, and he's improving further. Is he going to be able to get into the 28s here? That'd be absolutely ridiculous if he could. Djokovic right now is on a charge. Christina the Gamer in chat saying good luck to everyone. Indeed, they're going to need it because Djokovic is on a charge here. He's going through sector 3. What is Nasi doing? We'll stay with him in a little bit. There's yellow flags worryingly enough going through that sector. It's an Aston Martin going slowly before the long back straight. Djokovic now is going to come across the line, is going to cement his lead for provisional pole. Yes, he does. 129.299 is the time to beat. ABT is not going to get a time in here. He's invalidated his lap. That's his qualifying session over and done with. Nasi now, with the hopes of McLaren on his shoulders, 149.895 through the second sector. He needs to hook up a lap here. ABT is going to be starting this race in P9. That's now locked in. Nothing he can do about that. Lil Drips, what is he doing through sector 3 at the moment? Wait and see. Nasi is catching him visually as well. Nasi is going to be able to challenge Squidge. Is going to be able to challenge Djokovic. Squidge has improved up to 29.377, 29.424 for Spenklo. So that is close between Djokovic and Squidge still. Djokovic needed to improve there or he would have lost out. Nasi is going to be able to snatch pole position away at the death. No, he can't. Just shy of the top 3 by a couple of tenths of a second off Djokovic. 2 tenths there separating the championship contenders. P4 for Nasi, 31. Lil Drips couldn't improve past Wigan, and that is an end to the session and a half. Djokovic takes pole position here in France yet again to continue his absolutely sublime record. Squidge and Spenklos for a 2-3 for Williams. It's absolutely crucial, and Nasi with a P4 there needed, but he would have been hoping for more and he was capable of doing more in this session. Should have been able to get a banker lap in early there, but just a bit sloppy from the championship leader. Hybrid a little bit behind him in P5, but that is a very good session executed by Hybrid 472K with Jamar in P6, Wigan in P7, Lil Drips in P8, and BT wasn't able to get a time on the board in Q3. He's starting in P9. Oh, and what an end to the session that was. Less than a tenth of a second separating Djokovic from Squidge, and just over tenths of a second from Spenklos. So it is very close. The Williams just magically caught up to the gap, or closed the gap down to the Ferrari at the very depth there. Now, we're going to be going to a quick break before we get this Grand Prix underway. We've got 27 laps worth of racing action to decide the winner of the French Grand Prix and the prestigious 25 points. And at the moment, the championship lead in Djokovic's hand. If things stay the way they are, we have a new championship leader at the end of this event. We'll be right back with you for the French Grand Prix. So then, just thought I should announce as well, we'll be going to just a couple of moments worth of advertisements as well to make sure the pre-roll ads are away for the people that want to join the stream for the Grand Prix. We'll be back in about a minute 30 time, so stay with us before we go over the championship standing and get this race underway. So then everyone, we are back for full race coverage here of the French Grand Prix in NEF1 after a very exciting qualifying session that saw Djokovic take pole position away from both the Williams of Squidge and Spenclose. Nassi not having the brilliant of qualifying sessions in Q3. Other than that, looked mighty through through Q1 and Q2. So we'll see if Djokovic can have another strong one. He's been an absolute run of form. We have been given the ready up by the admins as well. We'll be getting going in a couple of moments. Before we do that, we're going to have a look at something that really interests me right now, and that is the Drivers' Championship, because this looked very different just a couple of weeks ago. Nassi on 87 points versus Djokovic now on 79. We had a look what Djokovic was able to do just over the last couple of weeks. We'll bring that up again, just for reference. 67 out of those 79 points coming in the last 2 weeks. Which is absolutely mental. Matty is in P3 in the standings, not racing today. Squidge and Spenclose are going to start closing that gap. Sam Obama had a strong week last week as well, taking quite a couple of points away from the championship leaders. As for the constructors' standings, Ferrari are currently leading that one on 115 versus McLaren on 104. So McLaren have an opportunity right now to close that championship lead. Williams have a massive opportunity right now in P2 and P3, having the edge on Nassi seemingly through qualifying to maybe even take the lead if everything goes well here. Still opportunities for quite hefty swings in both drivers and constructor standings. But then the formation lap is underway. Djokovic then on a medium tire. He's followed by Squidge and Spenclose, both on the mediums. Nassi also going relatively conservative on the mediums. Hybrid going aggressive here at the start on the softs, followed by Jamer on the mediums and Wigan on the mediums. Little Rips on the mediums. ABT on the softs going aggressive, with Noah Lark settling for the medium yellow striped tire. General Style opting to do the same. Patran goes aggressive. JV8 goes a little more conservative with iWatts and OJ Kush. Samo is in P16 at the moment and on that medium wall yellow tire. So then guys, 27 laps worth of racing action is going to come down to this. Will we see the championship lead swing in Djokovic's favour. Is Nassi going to be able to claw this back in the Grand Prix? We'll wait and see, because we got a couple of more corners to go before we line it up on the grid. So we go in Djokovic, Squidge, Spenclose, Nassi and Hybrid, followed by Jamar, Wigan, Little Drips, ABT and No Larks is your top 10. Darren Stahl just outside, followed by Padrang, JV8, iWatts, OJ Kush, Samo Bamo. We're lining it up on the grid here for the French Grand Prix. Relatively narrow run down into turn 1, relatively short run as well, only about 350 meters long. Here we go then. The lights are coming on for the French Grand Prix. Djokovic from pole position. Is it going to get a good getaway? It is lights out. And now away we go. Djokovic does get away very well. So does Spenclose from that P3 position. Past his teammate already up in the P2. For some reason the game is saying Samo Bamo's in the lead of the Grand Prix. He is not. We're having some sort of issue at the moment. Samo just... No, this is not good whatsoever. Samo Bamo's retired from the session at the very start, which has triggered a full cause safety car here at lap 1, and that is a massive issue. Darren Style as well has retired on this first lap. Now, what has gone on there? What on earth has gone on there? So now we've had a fastest lap time of a 16-second lap being posted by Samo as well, which obviously we'll have to look past once we end this race. I don't know what has gone on there, but the question is this lobby breaking or what has gone on? Can all drivers under the safety car now please pause the game and just put a thumbs up if everything seems in order to you in the Discord? I just want a quick status update. So every driver, please just pause the game real quick and just let us know everything is okay. Okay, so if you hear any discrepancies at the moment, I want you to point that out as well. Djokovic is in P1, followed by Spenclose in P2, Squidge in P3, Hybrids in P4, followed by Jamar in P5, Nassi in P6, followed by Little Drips in P7. iWatts is P8, followed by JV8 in P9. Padrang is now pitting, so that's going to shake things up. OJ Kush is in P10, followed by No Larks in P11. Okay, now we're having a couple of shake-ups then. No Larks in P11, followed by Beat in P12, Wigan in P13, Padrang in P14. If there are any discrepancies there, please let me know, but I think it all looks good, which means we'll continue this running as should. If there was any problems at the start of the Grand Prix, we'll investigate them post-race and see what can be done about them, but for now the show goes on. So then, Djokovic is in the lead of this Grand Prix, still after the start, getting a decent getaway. It was a little bit of a messy one, or it was a very messy one actually. But Spenclose taking a position away from his teammate there on the first lap, or on the first couple of corners, up to P2, Squidge in P3. No major movement really. iWatts had a really good start, up 6 positions. Wigan had a really bad start, down 6 positions. So those two trading positions there from P8 and P13. Other than that, not too much going on. OJ Kush and J also having good starts. ABT Padrang obviously suffering quite a bit. Darren Stahl is out of this race, and I don't know why really, which is a bit bothering. But I'm sure we'll get a clip after the race. So when Pattering saying the game's a bit buggy and didn't change your front wing, can you please confirm in the actual settings menu that you have changed front wing enabled, because the game has a tendency to not change it unless you specifically instruct it to. So just make sure that's not actually a settings issue, because that's often a mistake that's made. So we're gonna see we have a new front wing there going on for Pattering. It didn't look like his old one was damaged whatsoever. Still under full safety car conditions, Djokovic in the lead of this race, followed by Spenclose and Squidge as previously mentioned. But right now I'm not detecting anything major. So then a little bit of a weird start, but the show goes on. Djokovic, Spenclose, Squidge, Hybrid and Jamar. Hybrid on that soft tire is now going to make proper use of those softs on this safety car restart, because they are going to be so much quicker firing up. Is he going to be able to shake it with those Williams? We should have the safety car in at the end of this lap. If we do, it's going to be an interesting one. On lap 3 out of 27, no DRS on this lap 3 even. Simply because of the fact of the safety car we're going to have. If we have the safety car coming in this lap, I'll have DRS on lap, I believe it's 5. At the end of lap 5, sorry. Beginning of lap 6. As there we go then, race control, safety car in this lap. Djokovic will assume control of the pace of the rest of the field and get this race restarted. Spenclose, Squidge, Hybrid and Jamar's going to follow him. Try to get the best restart imaginable, but as soon as safety car has come into the pit lane, Djokovic will assume full control of when he wants to restart this race. So then, into the last couple of corners, the safety car is now coming in, or is now coming into the pit lane, meaning Djokovic will have full control over the safety car restart. He can go basically anytime he wants now. I would imagine coming out of the last corner, not one to give anyone a Tovo, but there we go. Djokovic, predictable restart there. Spenclose, not quite able to hang with, but he doesn't get a bad getaway whatsoever. However, Hybrid on that soft is going to be one to watch, because it is so quick firing up, and look at how he's actually gaining already on Squidge and under braking as well. Oh, but he's having a couple of issues there already on the restart. Just getting a little bit slidey and all over the place, Hybrid. That's cost a bit of momentum. Squidge, however, has not had a good restart. Already a second down on his teammate. Here we go then. Obviously the safety car restarts are quite a lot calmer than the actual race stats. OJ Kush up to P10 at the moment, doing battle with No Larks for P10 and P11 at the moment. No Larks round his outside, turns into the inside for the next sweeping right hander. No Larks going to take P10 away from OJ Kush here. But is OJ Kush going to be able to hang it round the outside into the next corner? No, he won't. Has to settle. Not really a corner we can make any sort of move into the sweeping right-hander. That is No Larks up in the points. JV8 at the moment sitting in P9. No Larks is shortly behind him. Now Wiggins been able to make it past OJ Kush as well at the front. Not a lot going on at the moment. It is relatively calm for the time being. Little drips up in P7 having a brilliant race at the moment. Djokovic, fastest lap of the race so far, 1:33.480. That bug with the 16-second lap time has then been sorted out by itself, thankfully. And look at how No Larks is basically pushing JV8 around the circuit at the moment. Wiggins a little bit behind, but No Larks will be hoping to clear that Haas in the next couple of corners. Here we go then, no DRS on this straight. Is going to give JV8 a decent opportunity to defend, but how much is it worth defending this position? He's going to defend it relatively hard for the time being. Want to keep No Larks behind him. Wiggins closing in whilst this is going on. Jay doesn't get a good exit whatsoever. No Larks isn't able to read that. Would have been able to get past relatively cleanly with a couple of better reflexes perhaps. And now he's going to go free wide into the next corner. This is a recipe for disaster. ABT pushes it through him all, and is that a quadruple overtake that from ABT? And No Larks is going to sleek down his inside once again, and this is brilliant from both No Larks and ABT. BT turns to the inside into the, what is the fourth penultimate corner. No Larks, though, has the inside for the next one, takes the position away. ABT's coming back at him, and this is brilliant. Penultimate corner now. ABT or No Larks, side by side. They have been for quite a while. BT round the outside into last turn. Surely he'll have to budge. Yes, he does. No Larks maintains P9, but DRS is now enabled. And is BT going to come storming past on the straight? Yes, he is. BT takes P9 after a long, hard-fought battle. Absolutely brilliant stuff from the McLaren. Now, that has cost them valuable time up to iWatts and Little Drips. JV8, unfortunately, out of the points for the time being, but he is just defending away from Wigan at the moment. And they're losing a little bit of ground to No Larks. Wigan, I think, making contact with the back of JV8, they look like for the time being. At the front, everything is as is. Djokovic is running away with this one. 2 seconds is the gap after 3 racing laps. Nassi now is making it past SFLY Jamar, and the two Williams are switching positions. Is that a strategic one? Might be. Might be just allowing Squidge an opportunity to have at Djokovic. Nassi's up into the top 5 once again. Yellow flags in Sector 1. That is Little Drips who's had an issue. Little Drips is falling down the order from P7, I believe. Has he had an issue perhaps with ABT or iWatts? I don't quite know, but Little Drips down in P14 right now. And that has gone horribly wrong for the Alfa Romeo and the Alfa Romeo team at the moment, down in P12 and P14. So see now if the Williams did indeed switch on purpose, or if they're caught in some sort of infighting between the team. What they need right now is some teamwork to try to launch themselves a bit closer to Djokovic. No Larks still involved in this battle with ABT, and now iWatts has been pulled into that party as well, which I'm sure he won't be overly enthusiastic about. Here we go, an ABT versus iWatts. Needs to make this work quickly. And he does. ABT up into P7. Nassi has gotten past Hybrid, whose tyres would probably start falling away a little bit now. Nassi up into the top 4, and now he's chasing after the Williams. And now they need to work together in order to make sure Nassi doesn't really get close. No Larks now on the back of iWatts as well. Is he going to go into the same type of battling that he did with ABT just a lap ago? iWatts almost loses it. He saved there by that contact with No Larks. That has saved iWatts from making a full spin, I believe. So very fortunate that from iWatts, actually. Really unfortunate for No Larks. Here we go then. DRS is enabled, and now No Larks is going to storm past the Alpine. Not quite, actually. He puts up a valiant defense. But he tucks in behind by the end, and No Larks says goodbye to iWatts for the time being. Takes P8. He's going to want to chase after ABT, who's now disappeared a little down the road. 1.5 seconds to be exact. As the Williams are now... Is this infighting we're seeing from the Williams team, or what's going on? Because Nassi's rapidly closing the gap, and he is bringing Hybrid into the equation. So Jay Cush picks up the first time penalty of the session so far. It's a free second for multiple track limits violations. Not ideal, a penalty to get around this place at the moment. Relatively close between everyone. Having a little bit of a gap from Wigan to Padarang, however. Keep in mind, a safety car can still happen and close this field up. All that's needed is an incident in the wrong place. Squidge now very close behind his teammate yet again. Now we're gonna get caught in some Williams infighting here, and is that gonna help Nasi out a ton? At the moment, Djokovic takes the lead of the championship. Nasi is gonna be happy the more these two Williams fight amongst each other. Or are we using this as a strategy to make sure that Nasi doesn't get past whatsoever? It did not look like Spenclose. Oh, sorry. It seems like I'm having an allergical reaction to that sort of team play, because my goodness, it did not look like Spenclose put up much of a fight on his teammate there. But this little scheme could genuinely cause them, or allow them to keep Nasi behind for quite a while. Nasi finding himself in the worst possible situation right now, stuck behind two teammates. And I know for a fact these two are relatively synced up. They do talk to each other. They are going to be discussing how to best handle this situation at the moment, because remember, they're fighting McLaren in the constructors' standings, and at the moment they're catching up. So Nasi now is in an awkward position because he wants to go after Djokovic this race. Lap 10 out of 27. Laps are going by quickly here. Already more than a third of the way through. So keep that in mind. Nasi needing to clear one of these Williams. When that happens, we're going into full racing mode yet again, because these two Williams are now going to do everything they can to keep Nasi behind. I'm absolutely sure of it. 2.6 tenths of a second is the gap from Spenclose to Nasi. Now 3.3. Once again, see if these two switch positions. Spenclose is closing in on Squidge. Squidge seemingly not even going to try to defend it. Spenclose goes past. Nasi can't get anywhere close. This is a strategy they're very aware of how to pull off. And this is going to be a nightmare for Nasi to catch up to and overtake. And the question is there any point to, or does he need to do anything with strategy in order to get out of this predicament? I can't find a way. Unless these two make a mistake, they can very much control the pace here. Now, does Nasi have to pull the trigger and try something different? Go aggressive, go defensive. Just try to do something different and force Djokovic into a response. Because right now this is brilliant team play, and it's quite ugly team play as well from Williams, because they're giving the McLaren no chance. So are they gonna switch again? Relatively close, but not that close. Hybrid now is coming in, and might that trigger a row of pit stops, because that's gonna trigger some sort of an undercut on the rest of the field. Medium tires going on, should be able to make it to the end of the race on that one. Now that is gonna give some information to Djokovic, currently on the mediums. Extend this stint and go relatively late onto a set of soft tires and just be able to defend for the rest of the Grand Prix. Now, what should Nasi do in this situation? Should he stay on this and try to get past, or should he maybe go into a set of hards and try the undercut just to get ahead of these two? As there we go again, both the Williams switch. They don't get caught fighting each other whatsoever, and Nasi can't get close. And this is going to be increasingly frustrating, because Nasi will obviously he'll be listening to this stream, but he'll have figured out exactly what these Williams are doing. Matty applauding the Williams at the moment on what they're doing as well in stream. Nasi can't get close. Now, though, The Williams are incredibly close to each other. 4 attempts separate these 3 cars at the moment. He needs to make it past 2 cars at once, basically, in order for this to work. It's a frustrating situation, this one, as at a track we really can't overtake as well. You can't really overtake in the DRS train like this. He's going to send one down the inside of Spenclose. Oh, he's going to be frustrated. Spenclose, though, goes off track, and now this is going to provide Nassi the overtake opportunity that he needs to. He needs to pull everything into this move. He needs to get past that Williams. This can be make or break. He has the outside for the first corner, and he makes that work. Spenclose just makes a mistake coming into the last corner, and that has cost Williams dearly, because that is unleashed NEF1, and there is no help for Squidge now. When Nassi catches up to the back of that Williams, he is going to have a straight go at him. The Williams master play has ended with a tiny mistake from Spenclose, and that is all Nassi needed in order to say, I am having a go at that opportunity. Thank you very much. And screw off, I can imagine, is Nassi's word in Latvian for what the Williams have subjected him to over the course of the last 5 or 6 laps or so. Djokovic is going to be applauding Williams and saying thank you very much. Please hold Nassi up just a couple of more laps and allow me to break into a at least 6 or 7 second gap. I think it'd find quite comfortable. Now is the question, is Squidge going to put Nassi in a compromising position to try to allow Spenclose to get past them both? Because now he's stuck in a Williams sandwich instead, which is... I don't envy Nassi's race at the moment. I really do not envy him. He is in an awful situation still, and if Squidge really pulls an ugly one, Spenclose could still get by. Here we go then, Spenclose very close to the back of Nassi31. Is he going to try everything to push ahead? No, it doesn't really have any battery to. Nassi is going to be made to go the long way round. That is going to give Spenclose some sort of opportunity to try another line. And oh, he does catch up a little bit through turn 1, but not quite enough. Now, Nassi just has to keep his powder dry for this next DRS straight. Oh, but he doesn't really. He gets a bit loose on the exit of, I believe that's turn 6. And now DRS has been enabled. He's going to blast past the Williams. They tried, they failed, they succeeded for a little bit of time, but what a valiant team effort from Williams that. But in the end, Nassi is able to put the Williams in their place, and he goes up into P2 with that move. Now, he's free to chase after Djokovic. The gap is 4.5 seconds. Squidge, though, is not letting Nassi go without a fight. So, actually moving away from that battle, because we haven't looked at anything else over the last couple of laps. I genuinely don't think we have. As a fellow by Jamer is running a solid little race down in P6 at the moment. Running not relatively lonely. He's running quite close to the back of his old teammate and countryman ABT. But now we're starting pit stop phase. Nassi's gone into the pit lane now. On lap 14, is he putting softs on or is he putting hards on? To try to do something to just rattle Djokovic a little. Maybe put the softs on. Now he goes hard again. He goes hard again. Nassi is a bit cautious on the tyre strategy. It'd been tricky to make the softs work for those 12-13 laps, but would it be worth a go? I reckon it almost would have. He's now given incentive for Djokovic to go long on this stint, put a set of softs on, and be able to fight back at the end, even if Nassi does get a decent undercut on, because he comes out in a load of space up to Hybrid, who is 5 seconds ahead of him. So Djokovic now does have a little bit of time to play with the Williams as well. So it's turning into a very much a strategic one, this race. Obviously quite a bit of wheel-to-wheel action as well, but a lot of strategy is being put into this one. Now, how does Djokovic respond to this undercut move from Nassi31? Does he keep his powder dry? Does he come straight into the pit lane to match that strategy? I'd suggest he keeps his powder dry. Yes, he does. Worth pointing out as well is the fact that ABT is actually catching both of the Williams at the moment. That's a driver who might benefit of actually doing an undercut, trying to get ahead of those Williams, maybe helping out Nasi a little bit. I can't help but think about the double team there from Williams. How brilliant that was to watch, honestly. Absolutely love watching synchronized play like that. That's commendable by both the Williams drivers. So frustrating to come up against, but so effective. And you saw that holding up the championship leader for a number of laps. Yeah, that's commendable. That is commendable. Bit of foul play, but it is Formula 1 after all. Squidge 2017 is going to overtake his teammate once again. Getting quite used to this. They're not fighting each other one bit. They're trying to launch each other up to Djokovic, but I believe what they're doing at the moment is actually just cost each other time by taking those weird lines into the hairpin or into the chicane. I don't think they're helping each other because BT is catching at the moment, and by quite a rate as well. Might it be that the Williams actually trying to pull themselves closer, or actually actively hindering each other right now? And they need to start thinking about the gap to ABT as well, because he could really hinder them in this race. ABT as well, worth pointing out, is on a different strategy. He's on hard tires. May BT try to go to the end here? We got 12 laps remaining. No, it actually doesn't. Someone clip that, please. That is prime TikTok content. As soon as I say something, the absolute reverse happens. That is awful. That is the worst call I made this season. That is the absolute worst call I made over the course of the season. BT comes in. Medium tires going on. Oh well. It is what it is. Hybrid goes up in P5 past the Alpine of Iwatts. Oh my god, Nasi's at the fastest lap of the Grand Prix so far. It's a 1:31, giving him an additional championship point. As things stand, at least, Djokovic still out there on track, 6.6 ahead of Squidge and Spenclose. He's feeling relatively comfortable, Djokovic, and if he pulls yet another one of this off, that'd be his third Grand Prix win in a row, his 5th win in a row. We know Djokovic loves sprint races. We saw that last season. He enjoys a Grand Prix or two as well. He very much does enjoy a Grand Prix. JV8 at the moment on the back of OJ Kush, and quite a bit of time penalties up ahead. I don't think Jay would mind a safety car at the stage of this Grand Prix, though. Sure, Nasi absolutely would mind it. So Venice now catching up to the back of Iwatts on that hard tyre. I'm not convinced he made the right call going on the hards, but to be fair, what could he do? It was on a set of mediums, 14 laps to go. Maybe the softs isn't a viable option. I don't think it is. Tyre dig can be quite high around this place. So maybe it was stuck between a rock and a hard place then as if had won. Which is a shame for the sake of the battle for the win here. But as things stand, I don't think Djokovic is really interested in having one of those. So then, pit stops are starting to happen. Squidge 2017 is in the pit lane, and my goodness, has he been undercut by Nasi. He's not even going to be close. The gaps are going to be about 5 seconds, and he beat his undercut the Williams. However, Squidge on a set of softs versus BT on the mediums. Now, BT's job here is to hold up the Williams guys as much as he possibly can. Spenclose now knows that he's probably been undercut by a BT. Squidge needs to get past here, and he needs to get past quick. Because realistically, with that soft tire, they have a shot at going after Nasi. ABT at the moment running a roadblock for Nasi 31 here. So this could be quite good strategic play from Williams or from McLaren as well. I don't know if it was coordinated. If it was, they might have worked it to absolute perfection. The race leaders in the pit lane, everyone. The race leader is in the pit lane. I can't imagine. Oh, Spenclose, 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane, and that is a disaster. Won't have to serve it during the Grand Prix. He'll serve it after. But that is a penalty he cannot afford whatsoever. But the question is, did he take that just to get ahead of... Did he take that just to get ahead of a BT? This is strategy. Well, everyone, we got a safety car. I'd love to know for what, because I have no idea. But we have a full car safety car. Nassi. Oh no. Nassi's taken the lead of the Grand Prix. Actually, Hybrid's taken the lead of the Grand Prix with that effort. What has gone on here? Why on earth have we had a safety car, and what's happened? Because now is everyone no, everyone's overtaken the safety car instead of just waiting for it to go past them. So they're going to do a full lap now at racing speed to catch back up to the safety car. Hybrid's in the lead of this Grand Prix. I believe the Delta will now be waived as well. OJ Kuss has been disqualified from the session for blocking the pit lane entrance, I believe. So that is not ideal for OJ Kuss whatsoever. I don't know what is going on, but absolute chaos has ensued here. What on earth has gone on? Spenclose now with the 5-second time penalty. They could put him into absolute disaster if this safety car takes a little while. Yeah, guys, reactions to this, because I don't know what to say. I don't know what safety car is for. I don't know why it's come out. But what we can probably say is it's royally screwed Spenclose. This is disastrous for the Willie. He's on the right tire at least to try to fight this. So is Djokovic. Nassi, I can't say he's in a brilliant position because everyone behind him is on fresh, soft tyres. Nassi is not going to have a fun restart on his worn hards, and he's got to come in. Nassi's got to come in to try to fight this one. Takes a really weird entrance to the pit lane, Nassi. But this is going to send him way back. This is going to send Nassi so far down the order. Surely he's not going to be able to recover from here. Nassi is royally screwed by this. Still, such a long way to go in this Grand Prix that he had to take that gamble. Actually, he's not royally screwed because quite a couple of other people have come in. Spenclose has elected to get rid of that 5-second time penalty, which could be a decent call. He has, though, given up track position to both Nassi, ABT, and Wigan by doing so. I has come in for a new set of softs. That's actually not screwed Nassi as bad as I thought it would have. However, Squidge and Jame are at the moment with penalties. Are those time penalties for track limits and fractions? Yes, it is. So Wigan is now the driver that is royally screwed by this. Stuck on the hard tyres, not going to be able to do anything. Needs to come into the pit lane, even if he surrenders track position. And this is the name of the game. You're not going to be able to survive on the hard tyre around this place. And Wigan has very much found himself in this exact position before. He knows this. He's got to come into pit. There is no other choice. Even if it means surrendering track position at the moment, he's got to do it. He's not going to survive on that tyre. Unfortunately. Hybrid as well. It's on 8-lap old mediums versus fresh softy. I just can't see a way forward for anyone not on the soft at the moment. This is... Matty's saying this is going to be a good fight. Indeed it is. But it might be a very short-lived fight for both Hybrid and Wigan. But I don't blame them for staying out initially. I absolutely thought Nassi was going to stay out as well, because I thought he was going to lose well more positions than he did. So I think Nassi's gone maybe a bit... He's gone away a little bit scot-free with that, because he's technically at the moment P2. Hybrid I don't expect to be lasting at all on those mediums, if he doesn't come into the pit lane. Likes not to. Squidge and Jama with those penalties puts Nassi up in P2 basically if we discount the Aston Martin. Which obviously we shouldn't discount anyone, but realistically he's not going to be able to defend from these guys for more than a couple of laps. It is going to be a very, very good fight, this. It's going to be an entertaining one. Who have you got for the win? Because things just got a lot more open. Djokovic's still the favourite. He has track position, but can anyone pull an upset? We'll wait and see. The safety car restarts are always a fun part of any F1. And now Hybrid Padarang just got a drive through speeding under the safety car. It's not brilliant. But now Hybrid, for the first time in a long time I believe, is going to be able to lead one. And this is a routine thing as well. Djokovic are very good at getting the race restarted. But the question is, how good is Hybrid at making those safety car restarts? How good is Hybrid at getting a race underway? We've seen him do it a couple of times before, but it was a long time ago. And this is a fun scoop as well. Djokovic might be taking this a bit personally, because he is now behind the guy who spent a majority of last season in absolute no man's land in Red Bull alongside Djokovic. They did not win the Constructors. Now Hybrid magically appearing in the lead of the Grand Prix in the form of his NEF1 career, honestly must be said for Hybrid 472k right now. Djokovic, there's got to be some part of him that's quite unhappy that Hybrid's found this pace now, saying, why could you not just have done this last season and we would have been golden. No, Patrang, unfortunately you cannot have a drive-through under the safety car. It needs to be done when the safety car comes in, unfortunately. We're on the safety car for one more lap, though, for some reason. I don't quite understand why. Lap 21 out of 27, then we'll probably go racing on lap 22. So then, we're in for an interesting safety car restart. Hybrid, Djokovic, Squidge, J. Marnassi. 5 different teams inside the top 5. We can extend that to 6 different teams within the top 6. And 7 different teams within the top 8. We got an interesting one coming up. No Larks at the moment, the sole runner for Red Bull in this Grand Prix as well, after not seeing Darren Style once, unfortunately, during the Grand Prix. Crashed out on the opening lap somehow. I don't know quite what went on in that quite messy opening lap, which will be investigated post-race, what went on with both Sam Obama and Darren Style. It will be investigated post-race, and yeah, we'll see if we can work out what went on and what went wrong. So when going through Sector 2, then heading into Sector 3, Hybrid, the longer this goes on his mediums, probably the happier he'll be, the less worn those tires will be. More of a chance he's got of actually somewhat defending this, because he's now locked into this strategy. He's got to do 6 laps worth of defending on the mediums. I could see Hybrid out of the points relatively quickly here, unfortunately. Such is the name of these tires. The advantage is going to be so big on that soft. That includes Wigan as well. JV8 is now past Little Drips under safety car. Yes, because Little Drips is off the track. Which makes that move legal. So then, surely safety car's in this lap. Yes, it is. Hybrid assumes control of the field and gonna get this race restart on lap 21 and 22 of the Grand Prix. Now, how much routine does he have? When does he elect to go? There we go, coming out of the final corner. Djokovic manages to stick with him incredibly well, actually, on that set of softs, and needs to defend from Squidge as well. Jamer on the back of Squidge. Djokovic, though, how soon is he going to catch up to the back of Hybrid? Softs versus mediums might be over relatively quickly on the back straight, perhaps. And you can see how Djokovic's tire advantage is just pushing Hybrid around the track right now. Djokovic impatient to get past. He's going to do it on this straight, I would assume. I don't think there's much point in Hybrid putting up a fight on these overtakes now. Just got to survive as long as he can. Djokovic reclaims the lead on lap 22 out of 27. And Hybrid's just got to say, sorry, you're welcome, have your lead back. Squidge now is going to be next in line to have at Hybrid. However, Jamar's pushing him a little bit around the track at the moment, which means Squidge not quite able to pull a move on Hybrid yet. However, that might happen here. Softs versus mediums. Squidge launches it down the inside. Softs beat medium all day long at that corner, and now Squidge's up in P2. Hybrid at the moment might be a good roadblock for everyone with time penalties as well, because Jamar's now going to wait a couple of corners at least to make his move on the Aston Martin. And Hybrid, he would have had to pit here. Wiggins only lost one position on the opening lap. Spenclose, however, has lost quite a few. Padrang now, drive-through penalty is being served. Djokovic fastest lap of the Grand Prix so far, and on the set of soft tires. Jamar round the outside of Hybrid's gonna have to go the long way round, but he's gonna do that on the better tire relatively easily, and that sent Hybrid into the wall. That has sent Hybrid into the wall on lap on. That sent Wiggins spinning as well. Similar incidents between the two perhaps, and I'm hoping we'll get clips of both. So but now we've got an entirely different scenario, because unfortunately both the drivers on, well, relatively crap tires really out of contention here. Nasi past Jamar. Beatty's there as well down the inside into chicane. Is Beatty going to be able to pull that move off? Yes, it's a McLaren 3-4 at the moment, following Squidge in P2 and Djokovic in P3. Beatty doing well to get past Jamar there. Spenclose now making up a couple of positions. He's going to want to make it past Jamar relatively shortly as well. Scott Iwatts round his outside at the moment. He's not going to be able to make that work. Tries to go the long way round. Spenclose says nope and goodbye. JV8 at the moment up into the points for the first time, if he can secure these in 1.5 season basically, which would be one hell of a performance from Jamar as well. But as things stand, everything is indicating a points finish here. The question is he going to be able to make it 1 or 2 points? Because Hybrid is in front of him, and he's on bad tires. Little drips up into the points as well, worth noting. Wigan then putting on a brand new set of soft tires, maybe going with that fastest lap point. You can receive that even if you're outside the top 10 at the end of the Grand Prix. Nasi is now doing battle with Squidge here for P2. Nasi is almost making it around the outside there, and so is a Beatty. Sorry, that was a Beatty all the way along. So now it's a 2-3 for McLaren. Djokovic is just that little bit up the road. Nasi and a Beatty now make it onto the podium, and that is going to be a good result for McLaren. Damage limitation, but they're doing an excellent job at it. Now for Squidge and Jamar with those time penalties. What are they going to do? Is Squidge going to try to back up Jamar into everyone else and allow Spenclose a couple of extra positions? How will they end up playing this one? Hybrid at the moment doing decent to hold on. Actually he's past Little Drips now for P8. JV8 not really catching them at the moment. Status contact between Little Drips and Hybrid there. That will be investigated after the race, I'm sure. It didn't look brilliant. And Hybrid's going to be absolutely fuming with that after actually surviving the fast initial contact on those mediums. Not surviving that second patch of contact. He's going to be absolutely fonts, and his tires are absolutely cooking. Hybrid, who 3.5-4 laps ago was in the lead of this Grand Prix, now outside the points in P11 with a time penalty. It is looking dark at the moment for the Aston Martin team. And that is so unfortunate. I feel so bad for Hybrid that he's having such a good race. Maybe not the best strategy he could have had. And then he has something like that happen to him. Obviously, I don't know whose fault. I'm not going to make a comment on it. But that is just unfortunate for Hybrid to... that is just unfortunate for Hybrid to have that type of incident this close to the end. Djokovic is running away with this one. Yellow flags, however, what is going on is that little drips maybe having an issue. Yes. JV8 at the moment up into P8. Oh, Lars in P9. Hybrid 5-second time penalty. It gets worse. Speeding in the pit lane for Hybrid. Here we go. No, Lars is going to have a go at JV8 relatively soon, it does feel like. Wanting to double his points haul from 2 at the moment to 4 that occupies JV8 in that P8 slot. And the question is Jay going to be able to defend that whatsoever? At the moment, points guaranteed as long as you don't mess up, because Padrang 15 seconds behind with a penalty as well. So is Wigan and Hybrid. So just don't do a massive cock-up. Points will be off. JVA trying to hold it around the outside of Nolarks. Just can't. Nolarks a bit too strong around this place. And Nolarks is having a really good season. You can't take that away from him. He's having a really good year at the moment, Nolarks. Little drips at the moment then in P10 as well would be his first points of the season, and Alfa Romeo's second point of the season. Gets a free second time penalty though, and that is going to breathe a sigh of relief down JV8's neck, because we have 1 lap to go. Hybrid has retired from this race. Terminal damage in Sector 1. Now, did he maybe just get a bit... frustrated, pushed the accelerator down a bit too hard? Don't know, but Hybrid there is out of this race on the last lap. Spenklos now past Jamar for P5. They all have time penalties, so this is now for position whilst the race is coming to its end. Abit has actually made it past Nasi as well, and this is a fight for position now. Is this where we're going to have a little bit of teammate rivalry start between ABT and Nasi? Nasi's in the championship battle. What ABT is currently doing is making Nasi lose that position. Now, Nasi goes past ABT. Oh, don't know what was going on there, but ABT plays his car beautifully to defend away from Squidge. Just keep him off the back of his teammate. Don't know if that was a setup play or if BT actually wanted to have a go at his teammate there, but it was a proper go at it nonetheless. Spenklos and Jamar getting very, very close to each other. P6 and P5 looked a bit naughty. Might have a look at that after the race. We don't know. Didn't come to anything massive though. And now heading into the final sector. Djokovic is about to cross the line in a couple of moments' time. Jamar going a little bit wide. That is going to allow Spenklos P5. But what a race this man has had. He's looked unchallenged ever since the start. He was brilliant on strategy. He's been brilliant on tyres. Brilliant on pace once again. He's not quite taking the championship lead, but he gets an awful lot closer to it. It's going to be separated by a couple of points as Djokovic takes his 5th win in a row, his 3rd Grand Prix win in a row. And my goodness, is Djokovic just a well-oiled machine that keeps on going at the moment. Nasi takes a great recovery drive in P2 with ABT's first podium of the season in P3. Crucial points there for ABT, pushes him quite a long way up the order. P4 for Squidge there, with P5, a season best result for iWatts, is 10 points going home to Alpine and Enstone. P6 for Spenklos, followed by P7 for Jamar. Decent points all for Alpine that. P8 is Nolarks. JVA takes his first points of several seasons here in P9. Takes 2 of them with little drips in P10. Padrang and Wigan ending up without points in P11 and P12. Driver of the day, according to the game, goes to ABT. I'm somewhat inclined to agree. Absolutely brilliant recovery drive from him. A lot of stuff going on there at the end of the race, as he usually does after a late safety car. But Djokovic, once again, just proving a bit too strong for everyone. And is he going to have one of those seasons that Matty had back in Season 2, when no one could touch him? It was really close in the races every now and again, but he just managed to pull through. Djokovic at the moment, nobody has an answer for that man. As there we go, then your final race results is as follows. Djokovic takes a crucial 25 points for his championship contention. Nasi 18 in P2. Nabiti takes his highest points haul of the season in P3. Fastest lap then goes to Wigan71, who does manage to salvage a point away from this race, even outside the top 10, does manage to get one. JV8 with the headlines as well, his first points for well over a season, so that's going to feel good for JV8, bring some points home to Haas as well, and the first points for Haas this season. So then, that is the end of this French Grand Prix for what has been a really enjoyable race, actually, filled with side-by-side action and late drama. I can promise you drama next week out. I cannot promise you any side-by-side action whatsoever. Next week, we are going to the Principality. We're going to Monaco for the second ever iteration of the Monaco Grand Prix in NEF1. Everyone is going to be putting in the practice in a lot over the course of the week, I'm sure, for what is going to be the most crucial qualifying session of the season. We're going to spice things up a little bit more. We're going to drop the tire temperatures down a little bit. We're going to be doing Monaco under the floodlights. Until then, we'll be back in 1 week's time for the Monaco Grand Prix. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in a week's time when NEF1 returns. Stay safe, have a good one, and peace out.